Welcome to the official podcast series by POTENZA, where innovation meets insight. In this series, we dive deep into the world of SAP, explore the power of robotic process automation, and unlock the true potential of data analytics. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just curious about the digital transformation shaping our world, you're in the right place. Tune in, stay curious, and let's explore the future of enterprise technology together. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube for more powerful insights. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome to the deep dive. If you've ever felt like your job involves just drowning in paperwork, endless regulatory updates and that constant fear of missing one single deadline, you definitely know the real cost of compliance. Today, we're focusing on something pretty revolutionary, a technology that's finally offering a kind of lifeline.
Yeah.
Our mission is to really understand how document understanding, let's call it DU technology, is transforming compliance, taking it from this painful necessity into hopefully a strategic advantage.
And it's so important we tackle this because the stakes are, they're just breathtakingly high. Our sources really highlight that organizations are failing at the basics, and it leads to devastating results.
Oh, what kind of results are we talking?
Well, global regulatory fines hit, get this, $10.4 billion in 2023, a staggering number.
10 billion.
Yeah. And when you trace those huge penalties back to their source, the recurring villains are things like inadequate documentation, broken reporting processes. It's this fundamental organizational vulnerability that, frankly, needs immediate attention.
So if you're listening, our goal today is really to give you a sort of blueprint, a way to move past that fear of fines. We want to show you how organizations can maybe stop seeing compliance as this just colossal operational burden.
Yeah, this cost center.
Exactly. And instead, leverage technology. Use tech to turn superior risk management into a genuine competitive edge.
We're looking for those tools, those aha moments that shift organizations from being perpetually reactive, always putting out fires, to being strategically proactive, planning ahead.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Before we even get to the AI and the machine learning, we really have to grasp the sheer scale of the documentation challenge itself.
Definitely.
What exactly are we asking organizations to do when we talk about regulatory compliance? It sounds simple, but...
It sounds simple, but you're right. It's like running a gauntlet. It's definitely not just checking a box. It's a really sophisticated approach to risk management. It requires continuous monitoring, implementing controls, detailed reporting.
And it's across so many areas.
Exactly, across multiple domains. And organizations have to navigate these highly complex, often sector-specific frameworks. Think of things like SOX Sarbanes-Oxley for financial reporting integrity, or GDPR, that massive European framework for data protection, or even Methodist Second, the rules for investment services across Europe. Each one is just a documentation vortex.
A vortex. I like that. And the cost of missing just one step in that regulatory maze, it goes way beyond just the money, right?
Oh, absolutely. Fines are the big headline, sure. But the lingering effects, they include severe reputational damage. Think about that.
Yeah, trust is hard to win back.
Exactly. Then there's the operational disruption of an audit. And critically, this increased regulatory scrutiny that can actually stop a business from, say, launching new products or entering new markets. A strong compliance posture isn't a nice to have anymore.
It's table stakes.
It's absolutely table stakes for operating today.
Which means the documentation, the actual proof, the evidence, that's the foundation everything else is built on.
Correct.
And our sources are really, really insistent that this evidence must have 4 non-negotiable qualities. It has to be, accurate, complete, accessible, and defensible.
And that last one, defensibility, that's really key to understanding the legal side of things.
How so?
Well, think of it like this. If you get a minor traffic ticket, maybe you just pay the fine.
Right. Annoying, but yeah.
But if you're in a major accident, the first thing insurance or the courts they demand is a huge stack of comprehensive, totally irrefutable records.
Okay, I see.
Regulators operate the same way. Inadequate documentation, something missing or unclear, it can instantly turn a minor internal slip-up into a major regulatory violation. Not because the mistake itself was so huge, but because the organization just cannot prove it exercised due diligence. They can't defend themselves.
Wow. Okay. So to manage that huge flow of defensible evidence, you need something called document control. You described it as the operational backbone. How should organizations think about that? Define that systematic management process.
Well, document control is the rigorous, systematic management of all compliance-related documents
Okay.
throughout their entire life cycle, from creation right through to disposal.
Okay.
It's all about ensuring consistency and integrity. You need a solid framework that includes things like robust version control, so regulators know you were using the current rules, not last year's.
Right. Crucial.
Strict access controls to protect sensitive info. Formal change management processes, you need to track why and when policies were changed. And, of course, proper retention and disposal policies. And these have to align perfectly with often really complex legal holding periods. It's a massive task, often manual, a huge administrative burden.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of job just designed to create human burnout, honestly.
It can be.
Which brings us neatly to the game changer.
Mm.
Document Understanding Technology, DU.
Yes.
Now, for listeners who might be familiar with, say, basic digital filing systems, maybe SharePoint or something, how is DU fundamentally different? It's not just storage, is it?
No, not at all. That's where we make the big conceptual leap. Traditional document management, like you said, it just stores documents. It's basically a digital filing cabinet.
Okay.
Document Understanding, or DU, uses this sophisticated combination of technologies: artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, ML, and natural language processing, NLP.
Right, the big three.
Exactly. And the critical difference is the system doesn't just store the text. It performs semantic analysis. It actually understands the document content, the context, and most importantly for us today, its regulatory significance.
Okay, understands it.
Yeah.
That's the key. And this is where it gets, I think, really interesting, this efficiency gap you mentioned.
Yeah.
When you contrast, say, a team of human analysts versus machine speed, what does that divergence look like? How big is the difference?
Oh, the contrast is staggering. It's mainly due to the sheer volume and the complexity of the context.
Right.
Human analysts, even highly trained ones in specific regulatory fields, they might take hours, maybe even days, to properly sift through a complex, say, 300-page regulatory update.
And hope they don't miss anything.
And that assumes zero mistakes, exactly. A DU system, it can process that same document in minutes, classifying it, extracting every key date, requirement, definition, with immensely high accuracy.
Okay, minutes versus days. But the real power isn't just the speed, right? It's the intelligence you get out of it. It's not just giving you a summary.
Precisely. The system turns raw text into actual directives, into actions. DU automatically classifies incoming regulatory communications, it extracts the specific deadlines, and it identifies which specific internal business processes or policies are actually affected by this new rule.
That linkage is powerful.
It's incredibly powerful. What's truly sophisticated is that the system can correlate some obscure, maybe principles-based clause in a new framework, say from the SEC, directly to a required change in your firm's internal lending policy documentation, that specific contextual link. That's what makes it revolutionary, not just finding keywords.
And because these systems are driven by machine learning, ML, can they sort of move beyond just reacting to updates? Can they actually start to predict where the next regulatory headache might pop up?
Yes, they are absolutely moving into predictive territory now. By analyzing historical patterns, where did regulatory failures happen before? What did common internal audit issues look like? How often did specific documents change?
Okay.
By analyzing all that data, advanced DU systems can start to anticipate potential compliance issues before they blow up. They can suggest preventative actions. It shifts organizations from just reacting to a new law
Right, the scramble.
to strategically planning for regulatory shifts maybe 6 months down the line.
That proactive capability, yeah, that's where the real competitive advantage starts to shine, isn't it?
Definitely.
Let's look at some real-world examples then,
Okay.
starting with the heavy hitters. Financial services, they're always under the microscope.
Yeah, and we have a really clear example here. A global financial services organization, they implemented an integrated DU and control system. The result: a stunning 60% reduction in regulatory examination preparation time.
60%, that's huge.
It's massive. Think about what that actually means operationally. Instead of compliance teams, legal staff, spending entire weekends in these frantic fire drills, pulling documentation,
I've heard the stories.
the system was automatically organizing everything, categorizing correspondence, maintaining perfect audit trails, tracking every single response deadline. That time saved, it's immediately redeployed to, growth strategy, innovation, things that actually make money.
Okay, that's compelling. And in healthcare, where the complexity of, say, clinical trial data and patient records is just immense, Are we seeing similar wins there, particularly with audits?
Yes, absolutely. Look at pharmaceuticals. A major pharma company implemented automated document classification specifically for their clinical trial documentation, which, as you know, is subject to intense FDA oversight.
Right.
When they faced a surprise inspection, which happens, they were able to provide the exact requested documentation, which normally could take days of searching through paper records, different databases.
A nightmare.
They provided it within hours. That level of preparedness, it minimizes operational disruption, sure, but it also significantly de-risks their entire very expensive research pipeline.
Hours versus days. Again, that's a tangible difference. Let's focus on financial institutions, FIs, for just a moment longer. Their documentation burden seems particularly acute, partly because of systemic risk concerns, right?
Exactly. The potential impact of failure is just so large.
So what specific documentation load are FIs carrying? What kind of records are we talking about?
Oh, it's exhaustive. They need meticulous records for capital adequacy, basically proving they have enough reserves to withstand shocks, detailed documentation for risk management processes, comprehensive data for anti-money laundering, AM, monitoring, tracking suspicious transactions, and exhaustive records on consumer protection. This includes documenting every single lending decision, every risk assessment they perform, every trading activity, detailed logging of customer interactions.
Wow.
Regulators demand this sheer volume because, frankly, failure at this level can destabilize entire economies. The stakes are just that high.
And while FIs maybe get the most headlines, this need is really universal across regulated sectors, isn't it? You mentioned energy needing environmental proof, manufacturing needing quality control.
Absolutely. The underlying issue is always the same.
Yeah.
Massive volume, high complexity, all under intense scrutiny.
That's the common thread.
The common need, regardless of the sector, is simply having a system that can handle that sheer volume and provide instantaneous, reliable proof of due diligence when the regulators come knocking.
Okay. As impressive as this technology is, and a 60% reduction in prep time sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Let's bring in a note of caution here.
Good idea.
When you automate compliance decisions, surely you introduce new kinds of risks.
You do.
Like the inherent risk that the automated system might, misinterpret a really nuanced regulatory requirement.
That's one risk, yes.
And just as critically, maybe regulators start questioning the reliability of the automated analysis itself. Like, how do we trust the black box? A system failure suddenly becomes a compliance failure.
That's absolutely the critical strategic challenge you hit on. You can't just blindly trust the machine, plug it in, and walk away. You need a really robust governance framework around it.
Okay, governance. So if I'm a compliance officer listening to this, what are the 4 non-negotiable governance essentials I need to mitigate those legal risks of using DU?
Okay, 4 key things. First and foremost, human oversight. Absolutely critical. For every really important automated decision like, say, the system flags a communication as a high-risk violation, a human expert must review that flag before any report is finalized and sent off.
Got it. Human in the loop for critical stuff.
Exactly. Second, testing and validation. The algorithms themselves, the AI models, they have to be subjected to extensive, rigorous testing protocols before you deploy them to make sure they actually interpret the rules correctly in your specific context.
Makes sense. Test, test, test.
Third, detailed audit trails. Every single automated processing decision the system makes, it must be logged. You need to create a legally defensible and explainable record. So if a regulator asks why the system categorized a document a certain way,
You need the receipts.
you absolutely need the digital lineage to prove it. And finally, number 4, enterprise-grade security controls. This is paramount, given how sensitive compliance data is. Encryption, strict access controls, the works.
Okay. Oversight, testing, audit trails, security. That sounds like a pretty significant implementation lift, though. You can't just flip a switch on this.
No, definitely not.
So what's the best practice for an organization starting this journey? Where do they even begin? It sounds daunting.
Yeah, I can feel that way. The key is to start small and targeted. Begin with a really comprehensive assessment of where your biggest documentation pain points currently lie. Where are the bottlenecks? Where are the risks?
Okay.
But then focus your initial deployment of DU on high-volume, routine compliance processes. Look for the quick wins,
Like what?
like automating the classification of all incoming regulatory correspondence, or extracting key dates and deadlines from policy updates, things that are repetitive and time-consuming for humans.
Right. Build confidence first.
Exactly. Build confidence, prove the ROI internally before you try to tackle automating really complex, unstructured legal analysis. Walk before you run.
And speaking of ROI, The real value, the real money saved or gained, it isn't just in cutting operational costs like needing fewer analysts, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, reducing processing costs is great, don't get me wrong. But the true value, the strategic return on investment, lies squarely in risk mitigation.
Ah, okay. Avoiding the big fines.
Avoiding that $10.4 billion penalty pool we talked about, improving your outcomes during regulatory examinations, and just fundamentally decreasing those costly, disruptive, compliance-related operational hiccups. And beyond that, superior risk management, which this enables, can translate directly into competitive advantages too. Things like improved credit ratings, maybe lower insurance premiums, and definitely the ability to launch new products faster because the compliance sign-off process is rapid, reliable, and fully documented.
Okay, that paints a pretty clear picture of the why. Let's look forward now. The regulatory landscape, it never stands still, does it?
Never. Always evolving.
And our sources suggest we're seeing a shift maybe away from compliance based strictly on following specific black and white rules towards something called principles-based regulation. That sounds like it requires a whole new level of understanding, not just rule following.
It absolutely does. That shift to principles-based regulation means regulators are focusing more on the intent behind the rules, the desired outcome, not just ticking boxes for explicit requirements.
Okay, the spirit of the law, not just the letter.
Exactly. And this is where advanced NLP, natural language processing, truly shines. It allows the system to do much more nuanced analysis, helping organizations understand not just the explicit text, but also the implicit expectations, the core regulatory intent. It's about reading between the lines, essentially.
Which is something humans struggle with, let alone machines.
Okay.
And if that wasn't making things fast enough, we're also seeing this trend towards real-time demands just increasing exponentially.
Oh, yeah. That trend towards real-time regulatory reporting is really forcing organizations to operate at machine speed. Regulators are moving away from waiting for quarterly reports. They want near real-time responses to inquiries sometimes.
Wow.
Which means DU technology has to be able to process information, assess the risk, and compile accurate reports almost instantaneously and flawlessly. The pressure is immense.
And then, for any organization operating globally, the complexity just multiplies again, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The challenge of cross-border regulatory coordination is huge. Your DU system needs to be sophisticated enough to manage multi-jurisdictional compliance, and it needs to apply, say, EU rules to EU data while simultaneously maintaining US-specific controls for American operations, ideally all within the same platform. It's a complex web.
Okay. So pulling this all together, what does this mean for you, the listener? We've covered the $10.4 billion cost of failure, the technology that offers a solution, those real-world wins, and the future hurdles coming down the track.
Well, I think it means that document understanding technology, DU, really isn't optional anymore. It's becoming essential for sustainable success in regulated industries. This is the mechanism, the tool set that transforms compliance from just a necessary expenditure, a cost center, into a source of genuine competitive advantage. How? Through superior risk management and much greater operational efficiency.
So the future belongs to organizations that can figure out how to effectively and rigorously combine human expertise with this advanced technology.
That's exactly it, combining the best of both. To create demonstrably superior compliance outcomes. You still need the human judgment, but you augment it with the power of the machine.
And the time to act is now.
I really believe so. The question, I think, is no longer if you should leverage DU to manage this inevitable ongoing growth as regulatory complexity, but rather how quickly and effectively you can actually realize these strategic benefits. How fast can you secure your organization's position in what's only going to be an increasingly scrutinized global market? That's the challenge.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the POTENZA podcast series, where we decode SAP, automate with RPA, and analyze with precision. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the technologies transforming tomorrow's enterprise. Got questions or ideas for a future episode? Drop them in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time. Thank you.